Should we have an episode where we... Right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to The Fix. Sit down with copywriting experts Nick O'Connor and Glenn Fisher as they review, discuss, and improve real-world copy sent in by you. This is The Fix.
Glenn Fisher. Who is he? Why is he? Where does he come from? These are all questions that we're not going to ponder in today's episode of The Fix, because we're going to drive straight into a piece of copy. Glenn, my glamorous assistant.
Yes, darling.
I'm slowly edging you into a sidekick role. I don't know if you've noticed that. Would you be so kind as to read the copy we have aloud?
I will read the copy as I skirt along my floor to close the door, because Pablo will come in and surely ruin the reading. This is a lift note from Jonas, and I apologise, Jonas. This is one that slipped through the net. I've been going through the inbox. We've got loads of copy coming in. So this was a little while ago. I'm sorry if you've been waiting for us to look at this, but it's an interesting one. It's a lift note. I will just say it is translated a little bit, so there might be some weird like sound things, but I'll go through it. So we'll say the subject line is "The end of the world is just the beginning," and then the body copy of this email lift note will read, "Hello, this is Jim Rickards. You and I, we live in a perfect time, in a time when everything was getting better, faster, and cheaper. That's why people believe this 50-year trend will only continue. But the world as we know it is breaking in two, and most people have no idea in which part of the world they will live. That's why, for a limited time, I want to send my readers a free copy of my brand new bestseller, Sold Out. Do not make another investment until you have read this book. If you've been following my publications for a while, you may already be familiar with some of my other bestsellers like Currency War or The New Great Depression. But this is my 8th book in the series, which may be my most important work to date. In Sold Out, I turn my attention to global supply chains and how their disruption will create a new world order. In this new order, there will be many losers and a few winners, which will dramatically affect your retirement planning in the years ahead. That's why Sold Out is not only a prediction, but also a plan that will help you prepare for this new world order and protect yourself from losses during the transition. On Amazon, my book costs around... I'm going to stop reading there. It goes on for quite some time before we get to a sign off. Like, I'm talking pages here. P.S. Best regards, Jim Rickards. And I'm already going to say that for a lift note, that's too long. And that's the first lesson. I don't think you can have longer than 2 pages at that size, maybe 3.
Well, you might. I'd say as a general rule, yeah. You shouldn't. Yeah. So just as a side note, we just did a masterclass for Fix Accelerator members on email marketing, I guess, writing email series. One of the points I made was variety is king. So if you wrote 10 lift notes and 9 of them were short, you might get away with one long editorial style one. But by editorial style one, I mean one that feels more like an article than a sales pitch. And that sort of brings me into the copy here, which this is clearly a sales pitch. You would define this email as a man selling me a book.
Yeah.
And I think that's slightly problematic. Because it's a little bit too easy to dismiss. I have to want a book. So we need to figure out a way changing that. And I think there are a few things we do. By the way, we should just say a lift note is just an email. That's what we call, sometimes we call them endorsements. Sometimes we call them endos, short for endorsement. Lift note, email, whatever. Sometimes it's just called a dedicated, as in an email which is dedicated to pushing you to a sales page. They all mean the same thing. Don't let anybody tell you that it's any different. They're all the same. There's different words.
Some people refer to it as copies.
Copies. Yeah, I always find that problematic because
I don't know what that means, but
it's slightly. I think it's slightly a translation.
Yeah, but no,
it's a translation that we should get on top of. For instance, if you went to a doctor who called themselves a doctors, you'd be a little bit worried about what they really were. So it's always slightly problematic to me when somebody calls it, "Can I have some copies?" I think yeah. Do you mean a number of copies of the same thing? Anyway, we shouldn't talk. That's generally a language thing, but it is something that's worth getting right because it's an important word. It's the name of the job. So I'm going to dig into this copy, Glenn. I'm not even going to let you get a word in edgeways. So I want to delete the first 3 lines of this. So it says, hello, 4 lines. Hello, this is Jim Records. You and I, we lived in a perfect time, in a time when everything was getting better, faster, and cheaper. That's why people believe this 50-year-old trend will only continue. I'm going to delete all of those because we lived in a perfect time. Who cares about that? It's about the past. When everything was getting better, faster, and cheaper. Okay, yeah, maybe. Again, do I maybe believe that? Maybe I don't. If I already know it, then I don't need to be told it. And then we actually end on a claim which is unsubstantiated. That's why people believe this 50-year trend will only continue. I don't believe that's true. I mean, come to England, you can't go out in the street for somebody who tells you things are getting worse. Do you know what I mean? You open the Guardian and it's basically all that it is. It's, look how bad everything is. So I had to drop that in on you, Glenn. That's an unsubstantiated claim, so I would cut that. The world as we know it is breaking in two is a more interesting place to start because I think that is future paced, isn't it? That's going to happen. However, it's a passive sentence. I'm going to get really technical on this because you have to get these things right. The world as we know it is breaking in two. Okay, what's breaking it into? So what would the active part be? Because the active part is the interesting part. The breaking into is the thing that happens. So if it was to say, I'm going to say something stupid, not stupid, just grotesque and huge to make my point. A terrorist attack is about to break the world into two. The terrorist attack is the thing, right? A financial crisis is about to break the world into two. A terrifying new trend unfolding as we speak is breaking the world into two. And most people have no idea which side of the divide they'll fall on. I wouldn't say we're necessarily in the most unique realm of copy because I've heard that before, but that's an active sentence rather than a passive sentence. And it's the active element that we're selling. Something is about to happen, which is going to change the world. I'm going to explain that thing to you. And in explaining it, I will help you predict what's coming next and survive and prosper. This is the central dynamic of all copy like this. So we can't start with a passive idea because it's the active part that we're talking about. Who cares if the world is breaking into? It could be anything. It could be the weather. Maybe that could be an idea. I don't know. So I would start there and I would change that into an active sentence. But then we have to show it. You know, we have to try and show that. And there are various ways we could do that. But I don't think that involves you can make a claim and say the world is about to be changed. A huge let's just make it really bold. It's about supply chains. A supply chain crisis is about to break the world into two. And most people don't understand what side of the divide they'll fall on. I would probably then, if I was starting there, try to show that it's already playing out. You see the early stages of this crisis when you go to the shop and there's no this, there's no that, there's no this. And I try and graphically show that something's happening and it's going to get worse and I'm going to show you how to survive it. That's probably the lift note here.
Yeah. Well, it's one option of many, but yeah.
Sorry. If we start there, we don't have to, but if we start on that line.
I think I'm thinking of what people think about when they do email. This is what I would call like a this makes it sound like a mean thing. I don't mean it to, but it's like a vomit email where you've literally just gone, here is all the information. There's some stuff about a book from Jim Rickards. There's stuff about this from that. I'm telling you about, it's called Sold Out. It's got a free book. You need to do this before you invest. There's some supply chain stuff. That's kind of what it's about. There's the world is breaking in two, or it's all in there. So what you're talking about there is saying, look, you've pulled out that bit saying the world is breaking in two. That's one idea of many in this that then you would riff on. You've already going to reveal. You might then, even once you've done that, you might want to do it as like the whole email might be about, what is this thing? Like, what is this? Rather than saying the terrorist or the supply chain thing, you can say there's something is about to thing, and to find out more, you need to click through to this. What you've got to remember, and people got to remember about email copy, generally, lift notes, all of these things, that it has one job, and that is to get you to the promotion in whatever form it is, or to get you to click in the right mood to read what's coming next, or to watch what's coming next, or to do what's coming next. That's all it needs to do. In the same way that even if you break it down to a granular level, all copy, every sentence, its primary mission is to get you to the next sentence. That's all you're trying to do. Ultimately, that is, if it doesn't do that, if there's no point in going to the next sentence, there's no point in, it doesn't matter all the other stuff and all the clever stuff you're doing. So I always think it's just worth remembering that's what an email is, especially a lift note or email copy, or whatever, is trying to do. Yet people will just bombard it with information like that's happened here with all of this, blah, 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 blah. There's no intrigue. There's no reason. After reading this, you either want that book or you do not want that book. Therefore, especially what this is, we know it's going to a Jim Rickards promotion. So it's in the direct response world. It's going through to a 10,000 word sales letter. There's no way you're going to need to read any of that sales letter or be engaged by any of the ideas in it, because you've already had all of the clues and all of the little plays and like tweaks done to, like, covered here. So one of the big things I'd say, especially for copyright working on this, but for people generally, because I see this all of the time. We saw this in when we were in Oxford at Malberg. We see it in other copy that's been sent through. I see it in my inbox throughout the day, every day, from qualified good in quotation marks copywriters who you get lazy. You just type all this stuff and you summarize what you've written on the promo or whatever, rather than thinking, right, what am I actually doing here? I'm trying to get people through to this promo. So I think that is the biggest takeaway for me before you even get to like what idea you take out and do that stuff there. There's one other thing that when I was reading this out, and I've been thinking about this on the last few episodes, when we read stuff out, it's a really good way of, whenever you stop, or I guess it's, you read something out for me recently, Nick, for something that we're working on. And sometimes you can hear when the person wants to say what I describe as the natural conclusion to that sentence, or that's that word flow. And certain phrases in the world, and there was a couple in here, and I'm trying to, I can't think and find it on my feet, but there's a couple where you want to say that next thing. And if there's something where it then goes against that, and there's a more natural line to do that, you need to be careful of those moments. So that's just a little side thing, especially for email copy, because I'm reading it fast. It's a fast experience. So if I read off it, I'm being lost very quickly. If I can't get through the email, I'm not going to click through to the thing. So just be aware of like what I'd call natural phrases. And if you start a natural phrase, if you want to finish it a different way from how you're writing it, just be aware of that, because it's a little tripwire I see happening a lot.
Glenn, I wonder if we could just broaden this out slightly. So I'm going to read between the lines here. I think this is somebody writing email copy, possibly on spec, as a way of showcasing their skill set to get into the industry. And that's a good tactic.
Yeah.
It's a long email. There's lots of ideas in there. That, in my opinion and experience, so I don't want to speak for other copy chiefs, but I'm going to in my own little way. That is not what we want. We would rather see 8 short emails, each with their own cool little hook. Even if they're only 5 lines and it's like, Jim Rickard's here. I'd like to mail you something, if that's okay. I think it could actually save your life in the next 18 months. But I can't tell you what it is yet.
It's the key to the room I've locked you in.
You know what I mean, though? Like, and then you click through and it's the book because it's a free book or whatever. Like, I mean, that isn't great, but like, that's a little idea. And I think when you're trying to get in, that's what copy chiefs and publishers want to see. They don't want to see everything in a mini promo, because that's not what we do with those in that form. So as you scrolled down through the copy, you didn't read any of this aloud, there was bullet points with little fascinations, like on page 301 I reveal this. Each one of those is probably an email in its own right with a little hook. But the rule of 1 applies to email copy even more than it does to a full promotion, which is each one has to be a little self-contained idea with a little hook that makes you think, what's this all about? What's this thing that's about to break the world into 2? Which, by the way, everybody says in their copy now. So you've got to be careful. If you're pitching cold on spec to a publisher, they're going to think, well, okay, you've read lots of copy, but have you read the book and found a way in? So just be careful about that. But I think we'd all rather get shorter. Just show me you can work an idea, work a hook out, work something out that makes you think, oh, I wonder what happens. So you could do the package, could do the trend, could do like some weird, like there are all sorts of supply chain dislocations. So in the States, there's like egg shortages. Like you could do one that, like the weird egg secret. And it's like, dear friend, look at this shelf, and it's like an empty shelf of eggs. You're seeing this all over the place. We know we're in how on earth did we find ourselves in an egg crisis? Well, I'm here to tell you this is not random, and this is not just some weird anomaly. This is another data point in a trend, and it's about to get a lot. See what I mean? So that's an egg hook. We want to see that, I think, as copy chiefs. I actually know the guy that if you were sending this copy in on spec, I know exactly who would read it, because I work with them too. So I know for a fact they're going to want to see a hook. They're going to want to see that you can write 10 hooks, 10 cool little ideas. So you've got to look at that big chunk of copy you got there and say, well, I mean, there's probably about 10 lift notes there. There was a line in there that was, do not make another investment until you've read this book. Okay, so that's an old headline from book.
I think I wrote that for Jim Rickard's 10 years ago.
So you've got to be careful there that it doesn't look like you've just read that and thought, I'll stick that in the middle of an email.
Yeah.
But that's a headline. That's a little lift note.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Then you could do a package one, could do a prediction one, you could do a pattern one based on the fact he's written seven books, each of which have contained a prediction that has come true. So it's like the 8th prophecy. You see what I mean? Like each little one, you got to work the idea out. And I
remember a chap we both worked with, a lovely bloke called Grant. He used to be, he was a marketer. I think
he's going to come on the show, actually.
He's going to come on the show. Yeah, yes. I know we've been circling him, but I always remember because he led the way. This ages me now, but when Facebook marketing first came into the world, he realized that a good way of doing Facebook marketing was to basically, those little ads that you'd run, you could use them rather than having everything like, oh, here's the promo and we've spent all this time on a big copy like project. You can do it where you go, right, well, all those ideas you've got. So when we review copy on the fix and we're like, right, you've got 5 or 6 ideas here, you could run with any of them rather than just picking one and test it on those little lines. And I see email lift as another way of doing that. That's what I used to do. I used to run a daily email, so I'd always be testing. If I knew I was working on a promo, I'd start testing little ideas in email copy and going, oh, actually, that one got a massive open. Loads of people email me about it. It was emotionally engaging. That actually might be the thing I blow up to a promo. So it's worth, don't get me wrong, you're obviously trying to get to a promo if you're doing this thing, but it's just a way of thinking about email rather than it just being this, I don't know, like just, it's like a flash. I feel like it's that just going, oh, here's everything. And it's like, no, it wants to be like, we'll just test.
Well, do you ever, I'll give you an example. Like so if me and Gemma are trying to pick something to watch on the telly, she likes to watch the trailer. So I'm making it sound like she's odd. I mean, that's a completely normal thing to do. Let's watch the trailer. But do you ever watch trailers where it's like 3 minutes long and about 2 minutes in, you look at each other and go, I sort of feel like I've seen the film.
Yeah.
It's everything is in there. And you sort of think, maybe we'll watch it, but I kind of now, they do it, it really irritates me when they do it at the start of TV shows, where they throw forward to everything that's coming up. And I think the producers must think, we have to hook them in by showing them what's coming up. But all it does is mean I've seen everything already. It's like the Patrick Stewart thing. Actually, I've already seen everything. The best stuff opens a loop. It has like the beginning of the show might have like something falling, shit, and it's a big crash, and then it just cuts. Or the trailer just has the start of something like a door, and it's like what's behind the door, but then it backs off. That's what good email copy does. It gives you a reason to want to close the loop, to find out what the package is, what the trend is, what the crisis is, what the prophecy is, whatever the thing is. And you can, like, the human brain wants to close that loop. It wants to find out it's hooked. So you're hooking them in like that. If you give them everything, it's like, okay, why should I? Are they really going to want to then read it all in the promo again? I don't know. I think if you're going to give everything, it almost needs to be like a little order form.
Yeah,
like,
this feels like an email. I would say you started by saying like you might have a long email, and this is maybe like the 17th in the series where it's like they're clearly not clicking through to the promo. We may as well give them everything and then do a quick short order form link at the end going, well, if I've got their attention from that, you do that. So there is a time to do that. But to begin with, again, it's commit to the thing that you are selling, commit to the whole holistic view of things, and understand that an email is there to go away. It's a pivot. You come in and then you read that and go, that sounds really interesting. It is a trailer to a thing. I want to go and watch the full thing. Yes. And that puts you in the mood. I credit Mark Ford with getting that, and I added that particularly at the beginning of the episode. It's to get you to go and click through to the promotion or whatever in the right mood. So because that just that whole thing of going free cash, dickhead, like, and you're like, you don't
put the words
kind of
big
thing.
Boobs there. Yeah, like you're going to get a certain sort of click, but they're not going to buy your book about the supply chain. Glenn, I think we should just wrap up with 3 bits of not admin, bit of housekeeping, but that's relevant to this conversation. So I will talk to Grant Perry about, in fact, I think we should put this out on LinkedIn and tag him. I was meant to get in touch with him and book some time for him to come on the show, but why don't we try and get him on the next episode or within the next month? Because he's a great marketer, and marketers look at email copy and ad copy in a slightly different way because they're right on the front line of testing, getting eyeballs on stuff. So we should do that. Yep. Number 2 is, if you're in this situation, and by that I mean writing spec copy for financial publishers or Agora publishers or people within that universe, then it will be well worth your time to join the Fix Accelerator, because we're going to be launching our jobs board within the next month. We shared the Stansberry opportunity very recently. There's going to be more like that coming. It's going to be for Fix Accelerator members. And I don't want to like blow my own trumpet, but if you want some information about how to pitch yourself, what publishers are looking for, how to go about writing, things like that, stuff on spec, then we're going to be doing a lot of sessions on that. And we'll be getting some Agora and Agora Universe, Agora type business copy chiefs on to talk to you about it. So, I mean, you can take that with a pinch of salt if you want, but I think it would be well worth your time.
Of course it will. Of course.
And final thing, if you want to meet some other copywriters, potentially some copywriters from all around the world within the Agora world and the agency world, then we have an announcement coming up in the next couple of weeks, which you do not want to miss. I'm not going to say any more, but make sure you watch next week's episode of The Fix. We will tell you more about it. I've already promised Fix Accelerator members that it's going to blow their minds. We actually have to go now to go and do our live call with them. I'm going to talk more about that. But the next episode of The Fix that we put out will give you a little bit more information about that.
I was speaking to someone, one of the Fix crew, and described what's happening. And I said it will either be shambles or incredible. It's 50-50 at this point. And he said, I think that's the sales piece.
Yes.
That is the
I actually sort of hope it's both.
I think it will be. I think it inevitably has to be. Everything we do.
Let's not say too much. Not say too much. But next episode of The Fix, we'll talk more about that. For now, let's wrap things up. Send us your copy to feedback@fixcopywriting.com. I'll get in touch with Grant. Check out the next episode for more on all the stuff that I just talked about. And yeah, thank you very much. And we will see you next time. Goodbye. Synchronized wave.
It's the only way to wave.
If you enjoy The Fix and want to get access to even more good stuff, join the Fix Accelerator today. Get access to special masterclasses from Nick and me, watch expert interviews with industry legends, join live copy feedback sessions every week, and get connected to our very own private copy network. Visit thefixaccelerator.com for more information.